Thank you everyone for joining us here. We've got a big crowd today. So what I'm going to be talking about is strategic insights for e-commerce, specifically how to get ahead with a competitive intelligence. So first of all, let me just give you an introduction to myself and then we'll get into the presentation. My name is Tim Rasika. I'm a software developer and a YouTuber. I have about 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube and I teach people software engineering. I've done a lot of development work and I've worked with Bright Data for about 3 years now, specifically on some collaborations related to web data and scraping the internet to understand how to do that at scale. Now, we had a few previous sessions, 2 yesterday, 1 earlier today, and in those sessions we talked about the different barriers that occur when you do actually try to scrape web data. It seems like there's just all this data, it should be really easy to grab, you should just be able to go to a development team and say, hey, grab it, bring it in, give it to me. But there's actually a lot of obstacles that you're going to run into when you try to do that, and especially as a solo developer or not a big team, there's a lot of things you're going to be running into. Now, we also talked about the role of the Web Unlocker and CAPTCHA Solver, which are products provided by Bright Data. These are a bit lower level that the developers will actually use to be able to get past these blocks and kind of collect data in their own custom way. Now, we also talked about managing infrastructures, proxies, and IP rotation, so how you can actually access websites from different countries, and if your IP address were to get blocked, which can happen quite frequently when you're trying to scrape at scale, how you can get by that and use automated tools so you don't need to deal with all of that in-house. Lastly, we talked about how to scrape data efficiently, how to do it at scale, and it's not on here, but we also talked about some pre-made data sets that kind of circumvent a lot of the issues you've seen here that give developers more flexibility and your organization more flexibility to instantly grab data and not have to worry about collecting it on your own. So in this session, we're going to go kind of a level up. So rather than having this whole development team, having them collect all the data, then analyzing it, we actually have a product I want to show you here that's really cool that pretty much does all of that for you. It's called Bright Insights. I'm going to show you some images of it, but specifically we're going to look at this no-code platform. And this is a way that we can integrate competitive intelligence into our business, and anyone, regardless of your technical background, can use it. We're also going to talk about how to enhance your products, adjust pricing, and engage customers better using these type of products. I'll walk you through some specific use cases so you can see how that works. So let's start by talking about the importance of reliable data. Having a lot of data is one thing, but the reliability of data is equally as important, if not more important. We don't want to have bad data, out-of-date data. We need it to be reliable because if we are going to be generating insights based off of it, or our business relies on it, well, obviously it needs to be reliable and accurate. So we need instant access to the most up-to-date information, even if it's a few days out of date, a few weeks. You can imagine things change really quickly, especially in e-commerce, and we want to know that right away. We need to filter out extraneous information. There's so much data out there that we don't need to know, and even just having it on a dashboard can really distract us from the important information that we want. It also needs to be easy to access and to share. It's one thing to have it, but we want to be able to access it, put it in our own dashboard, share it within our organization. I'm going to share with you a tool here that allows you to do all of that. Okay, so how to collect meaningful data. First, I just want you to understand again how difficult it actually is to get data so you can see the value from these type of tools. So when we collect meaningful data, the first thing we can do, or how to do it, sorry, is we can do it manually, right? We can just have someone sitting on a computer, looking at a website, filling in an Excel spreadsheet. Obviously in 2024, most of us know that's not the optimal way to do it, but some companies, believe it or not, do actually collect data in that way. Beyond that, we can go one level up and we can have programmers use a framework that helps us collect it. They can write all these advanced tools that you don't need to really know anything about that can kind of automate that process. We can also use scraping infrastructure. We talked about this in some of the previous sessions. We can use some tools that help us scale this up and really take the complexity from our local developer out to the cloud. So they can just do what they're good at, which is writing code. Or we could use it from pre-existing data sets, what we talked about in the previous session. We can have this huge data set, we can go in there, we can apply some filters. And then lastly, we can use it from a live stream of data, which is something that Bright Data will provide. Great. Now, what are the features that we want when we have data? Well, just the data alone isn't going to be that useful. We also want to have data dashboards. We need to visualize it. We need to see it. We want to put it in reports. We want to see graphs, comparisons. That's how we actually generate meaningful information. We also want filters and alerts. If a price goes up from a competitor, or maybe for some reason our product isn't ranking on a site like Amazon, maybe there's some issue or we ran out of budget or something, we want to know about that immediately. And those are tools that typically you need to build yourself, but that we can actually kind of give you in one platform. We also want data validation. We want to make sure data is up to date, it's correct, like we talked about before. Reliable information is really important. Lastly, export and integrations. We need a way to take this data, put it out into our own internal tools, give it to customers, give it to other clients, give it to our coworkers. It's one thing to have it, but to be able to share it with people is equally as important. So now I want to introduce to you what I've been talking about, which is something called Bright Insights. Now this is a tool provided by Bright Data that pretty much brings all of this into one platform. It has a digital shelf dashboard, filters and alerts, all the data you could possibly need, data validation. I'll show you a bunch of images so you can see what it actually looks like. But the idea is Bright Data will do all of this for you. You simply tell them what your products are, what SKUs you have, and then they'll load it into their dashboard and actually allow you to compare it against other products that are in the same industry or in the same category. So let's have a quick look at what one of the dashboards might look like here. Again, this is something that normally your development team would build on their own, that you would be paying developers a ton of money to write out. In this case, it's already provided for you. So on the right-hand side, you can see this is us, this is our SKUs. So we have 225,000 in revenue in the past, this is the time period, this past month. And then this is the entire industry. So we have our products compared to the entire category or industry. I know it's difficult to see here, but we're actually in bathroom vanities. And obviously if you had other SKUs, you'd be able to filter by that and view all that information. We get some trend lines. You can see how the overall market's gone down, how we compare to it. And obviously there's a bunch more information. I'm just trying to give you a high level overview of the type of data you'll get from a platform like this. Again, you don't need to write any custom code. We just give you the dashboard and it has everything that you need on there. You just have to tell us what products are yours so we can put that there. So if we keep scrolling down, you can see we get all kinds of other insights here. Category average selling price. We can see us, which is the blue line, compared to the overall industry or to the category. Our active selling SKUs, you can see we're down 26 in the past month. Obviously something we'd want to know. Maybe there's an issue with that, maybe there's not. We can see our in-stock rates, only 59.5%. Maybe that's a reason why sales aren't as good as they should be. And then again, compared to the actual industry average. So 80% in stock probably tells us, hey, we want to raise that level up to make sure that we're not losing sales because we're out of stock, right? Great, if we keep going, I just want to show you the depth of information we have. Obviously, I'm not going to walk through the entire platform, but there's a lot of stuff here. You can see sales and market share. We can see kind of the continuation of that there. And average retail price, average selling price, etc. We don't need to go through every single point. Now, if we go down here, we start getting some visualizations as well. We can visualize it with bar charts, line charts. We can take these and export them so we can have it in internal documentation. This allows us to also tell people, hey, we should be doing this type of activity. Maybe we want to increase promotions. Just a way that, again, we can really easily visualize this information and get some quick stats at the top, which are going to be helpful to our organization. Now, another thing I want to show you is that was kind of the view of the entire industry, but we also can view individual SKUs. So a lot of time we're trying to compete over some competitors on different categories or different individual products. In this case, these are all the top SKUs that are in the category, and we can see all of the different metrics. I know it's a bit difficult to read here, but we have things like the sales dollars difference, if I can read them on here, units sold, and then we can filter this by all kinds of different, data here. So we have brand, category, manufacturer, price. We can apply advanced integrations, a lot of filters. And then if we want to even see something like the different color, maybe we're trying to be the top white, bathroom vanity or something, then we can go for that. So whatever information you need, pretty granular here. And again, view all of the different SKUs. We can check them off and we can rank them by all these different categories to really get detailed insights. I just want you to imagine trying to build this on your own or have a team do it. It's going to be pretty much a full-time job and honestly its own sub-organization in a company. Why would you do that when you have a tool that can do that for you? So just to kind of an enlarged image here, again, you can see we've kind of filtered in this case for the price less than $1,000 but greater than $500. Maybe we want to be in that middle range. And then we can see all the different SKUs that are in there and which ones are performing well. Let's say I look at this top SKU here, which isn't my SKU, and I say, okay, they've increased revenue by $20,000 in the past week. How did they actually do that? I can go directly into here and I can view all the insights on that individual SKU, which are scraped continuously and updated pretty much every day, I believe. So if we click in here, we can go into one of these SKUs and you can see total sales dollars, average selling price, and I'll show you in a second, we can actually see if a promotion was running or not. Yeah, 5 minutes is fine. And we can also see different variants that they might have. So maybe they have a blue color, a brown color. We can see which ones are performing the best. And then we can go in and view their metrics and see how they perform month over month. And again, what they're doing to promote their product, that's probably the most valuable insight. We can go to all our direct competitors and see when they run promotions, when they stop promotions, if that's actually had an impact for them. You can imagine before you run a promotion, go look at all your competitors and see how did the promotions perform for them and what was the actual increase, and that can tell you how much you want to spend or if you even want to run a promotion or not. So go in here, this is what I'm talking about, promotional insight. You can see that we have the sales on promo versus sales on no promo. This is in a certain time range, we can adjust that, and we can see how much was sold in all of those different time frames, as well as the promotional price. So this kind of tells us the sweet spot for what we might want to actually make our price at. Rather than A/B testing, we have a bunch of information immediately that's already been tested by these companies. They've already spent the money. We can now generate the insight from that. So it tells you all the date ranges, etc. Continuing, this is just some charts on visibility. So something else a lot of companies don't consider is your product actually visible? Can you see it on the shelf? There's a lot of times when Amazon or all these big e-commerce companies, for some reason, maybe you're just not ranking, it may be a bug in their case, it may be you ran out of budget, and maybe someone on your team made a mistake. Right here, you get pretty much instant access to that information, and you can see, are you ranking? What's your page visibility? Where are you? And if for some reason your sales were dropped or your sales increased, this could tell you why that's actually happening. And you can see all the charts and all the information. Again, we don't need to run through every single individual point. Now, another really valuable part of this product, so that was kind of one section of it, which is the overall individual SKUs in the overall market, is we can track SKUs that we're interested in. So a lot of companies use this just to track their own SKUs and to get a really quick dashboard view of how their products are doing. Now we can rank these or sort them by all different types of categories, and we can also track other SKUs. So if there's some competitors that we want to know immediately, or maybe they're really relevant to our products, we can track all of those in that dashboard. And again, we can go in and in 2-3 minutes, we can see really quickly what's going on with all our products, click into one of them, and if there's any issues, we can go and resolve that rather than having to actually go to each individual retailer, compare across different Amazon sites, Wayfair, Newegg, whatever it is that you're using. So if I go here, just an example, we can sort by out of stock, probably something you'd want to do if you run out of stock. That's going to be updated on the website. In this case, we can see all the different products that are out of stock, and if they were, it would tell us how many days they've been out of stock. We could go and adjust that, and again, we could compare this for other people's SKUs as well. So if we see a competitor go out of stock, maybe we want to run a promotion, maybe we want to remove their promotion, different strategies we could implement there with those insights. Okay. So just to get into a few use cases here, we've obviously looked at the product, but let's talk about how you could actually use this. First of all, tracking products and categories, probably the most basic. We can track our competitors' products across thousands of different categories, not just one or two. We can find out when they're added, when they're sold, when they're unlisted, when they're out of stock. You can imagine the competitive advantage you have when you have all of this information and your competitors probably don't. You can align your offerings with market trends. So you'll see SKUs that are maybe blowing up this week. Maybe there's some kind of event going on, maybe a new trend, maybe a new TikTok video went viral. You can take advantage of that really, really quickly and maybe offer a specific version of your product or a new SKU. Moving on, obviously monitoring and optimizing your pricing. You can do that internally, but when you have so many different products and so many categories on so many different sites, you really want one dashboard to be able to view it all from. For some reason, the image isn't loading, but that's fine. And you can monitor price variations, discounts, etc. It's just all in one place, which makes it so much more efficient to actually view and manage this information. Beyond that, elevating your digital shelf presence. A lot of companies have price tracking built in, but do they have visibility? Do they show you where you're actually ranking? Do they show you if for some reason you're not being seen on Amazon, or for some reason you're being seen number one? Maybe you're getting organic traffic, maybe you're not getting organic traffic. Again, with a tool like this, you're gonna know all of that information, and you can really dive in and see exactly what's going on and how that's impacting your bottom line. Now, I just want to show you an example of something I built. So I'm a software developer, and I actually use some of BrightData's other tools to write my own kind of dashboard that walks you through different price changes for a product I'm interested in, which is like PC components, RAM. Now, this took me about a day to build out, and obviously you can see it's not that pretty. It doesn't really contain all the information you'd want. And the goal of me showing this to you is just so you understand, like, I'm a solo developer. I spent maybe 1 or 2 days on this project. I can build this out, but for me to get all of that information and to have this work scalably, it's just gonna take a very long time, and it's gonna cost a lot of money. It's pretty much a whole development team is required. Okay, so with that said, we'll wrap up the presentation. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thanks for listening.